Hi, I'm Mattlin from Bad to Worst Gaming, and this is my How to Play With and Lane With Mina guide. Now, this is a mechanics guide, which means I'm not going to go heavy into itemization. Now, some of you are going, but Mattlin, I don't play Mina. Well, you know what? I've seen some of you lane so poorly with me, you need this friggin' guide. Sit down, class is in session. We're going to take a quick glance at Mina's ability, so you know what the hell I'm talking about later on in this guide. Her passive is Master Servant and grants a speed boost. You are the tiny lady's steeds, and you must go faster. She demands it. This helps with the chases and escapes later on in the game. Her Q is Spite. It's a ranged skill shot. Now, if you hit with it, the next attack that you or your host, important to note, does extra damage. If you're on a bruiser, a tank, or support, it does less damage, but slows. I can hardly think of a time that I wish I had the slow instead of the bonus damage from being on a mage, ranged carry, etc. Now, the bonus damage is nothing to scoff at. If you hit, and a Ferris hits with a Reaver, at max damage, you're doing 50% more base damage with the Reaver. That's crazy. People melt. This is probably the first skill you're going to choose and the one you max first. Some people want to pick up W, because it's her signature ability, but in the laning phase, you're trying to get as much money as possible, and this lets you proc your tactician bonus better. Do not pick up W for laning. Seriously, drives me nuts when I see it. Her E is Siphon Soul. It does a fair amount of damage, but gives damage reduction to either Mina or a host. Can you sense a pattern here? Or host. During the laning phase, try to hit the enemy shapers with it, but if not, hit a minion. Get some damage reduction for your laning mate, especially early on, and you'll be a lot healthier and a lot better in lane. Mina's ultimate is Sever Ties, and holy crap, this could be the scariest ultimate in the game, in my opinion. You hit an area with this huge blast, and if you picked up Pain, everyone has Mortal Strike on them, and everyone takes 10% bonus damage. I'm going to stop for a second there. 10% extra damage. Holy crap. You hit this, a Spite, and your carry is going to hit your target, take his lunch money, go back in time, kick his grandpa in the nuts, and just laugh his way to the bank. People melt. People are dead. And if you get a good team engagement with this, toast. Now, I've been talking about the team fight with this ability. I have a guilty pleasure. I sometimes use it on a solo target, so he dies before the light can reach his eyeballs that he's taking damage. It's funny. I laugh. I laugh my way to the bank with it. Finally, we have her W, the Key to the Heart. This is the skill that really defines what a Mina is. Backpack Mama, by the way. This skill, however, has a huge cooldown, 13 seconds. Never lowers. I know Ferris originally gets 14 seconds for his flashback, but it drops down to 8 eventually, and McKellar drops from 16 to 10. This is your repositioning movement thing, and it takes a long time to come back up. With the first casting, you jump into an allied shaper, if they're close enough. You give them a shield, and this shield gradually goes up over time. The second casting allows you to jump out, shield yourself, do damage, and fear an area. This ability can allow you to jump over walls. I brought this skill up last simply because it's the hardest to master and probably most useful thing Mina has. At the beginning of the game, I use it for simple repositioning, getting lanes of fire on my opponents, not really the fear. In late game, the repositioning can be done to great effect to secure a kill as someone's running it, because you jump, you fire Spite, and you get a ton of range they're never expecting. You can pick up kills. You can also use your Key to the Heart for quick repositioning. This is kind of number 2, where you jump into someone, immediately jump out, and have a new lane of fire, a new attack pattern, or an escape. Again, you can immediately jump in and out. It's hard to master, but can be used to great effect. The final way to use Key to the Heart is its fear component. This is what most people see when they look at the ability. It's dangerous as hell, because you have to put your body where your mouth is. Pretty much. You jump in, you fear somebody. If you're getting on an aggressive lane, you're going to get punished. If you're jumping into an enemy team to fear them all, I mean, they're all feared for a couple seconds, but you better make sure your team is killing everybody, because if not, you're going to be targeted and dead. Now, as Mina, you really need to know the shaper that you're riding. More specifically, if they have an escape mechanism, including the spells they've taken. I cannot count the number of times where I played Hero Mina while the enemy team comes, and I jump out to save my carry, and he blinks away. And I feel like an idiot. I'm like, well, that was a needless death. So always kind of keep a mental note of cooldowns one out of your friend's escape mechanisms. Now, I've seen about 3 different ways to play a Mina. The first type of way is called what I jokingly call the walking Mina, or the why aren't I being carried? You're using your W to jump into firing positions, you're auto-attacking. I use this kind of Mina play early game. A little later game, you can try to be super aggressive, roll around the side walls and fire at people under turret, but this is very dangerous. Simply said, you're going to be roaming a bit, and a roaming Mina means the key to the heart might not be in range to get her the hell out of there if trouble occurs. It's very hyper-aggressive, but for early game, it's okay. The second type of Mina play is Fear Mania. This is pretty much where you're jumping with key to the heart every time it's off cooldown. You're trying to keep the enemy off their toes, feared, moving around, maybe not securing last hits, etc., etc. I'm gonna say I hate it. I've seen a lot of people play it, and I've seen a lot of people punished for it. If they know you're gonna be jumping a lot, they're just waiting for you to jump. They scatter, and then immediately come back in. And if you're on like clockwork, they're going to get a pattern, they're going to get a rhythm, and they're going to punish you hard for it. I use fears a lot more sparingly. The final playstyle is kind of the backpack turret. It's my playstyle, I prefer it. You stick to your host and you stay in them for pretty much the whole game. This grants them a ton of benefits, including the damage reduction and extra damage. It also lets me ignore the worry about juking things and dodging and all sorts of fun stuff and simply get really good map awareness. The problem is, of course, if your lane mate doesn't know how to play a Mina, hence why they're playing this guide. And if you play Mina, like the guide, tell the people who don't know it to watch this. People don't go ham, they don't go after the enemy shapers, don't do everything right, you're going to have a bad time. During this type of playstyle, I usually save my keys either for my own jungler's gank or the enemy jungler's gank to keep them off my carry or secure kills. Finally, we get kind of the meat of this entire video, the how to lane with a Mina guide. I'm making this because a lot of people just don't seem to understand her gameplay, how she works, and how she can benefit them. I kind of liken it to poaching in doubles tennis. I'm waiting inside of my host, waiting for that perfect moment to just smash the enemy team to bits. I say this because I've been constantly questioned, oh no, Mina is AFK. It's like, no, I'm not, dude. In you, I'm watching the map. Just keep playing, I'll tell you when I'm ready. And I've also been told, why don't you use your W, Mina? It's your quote-unquote only skill. Holy crap, people are just so ignorant and it makes my teeth rattle in anger. Let's talk about the laning phase. Most range carries have a tendency to come straight on to the enemy minions, behind their own at max range. You do not want to be straight when a Mina is riding you. No, you want to get an angle of fire. That is to say, instead of going straight on from the back, as you can see here, where I cannot hit the enemy shapers, instead, all you have to do is rotate a little bit, not putting you in any more danger, and suddenly I have vision and line of effect to the enemy shapers. And as soon as my spite hits, tug at this enemy shaper that spite hit, and you'll do your bonus damage. We'll drive him out of lane, and we'll win the laning phase. No problem. While we're talking about the laning phase, let's talk about warding. If Horse Trainer Mina has her ward down, then you chauffeur her ass to where she puts her ward. Oh, that's not your responsibility, right? Well, the only other way that we're going to get a ward in that spot is if I use Key to the Heart. That's a 13-second cooldown. My escape, my mechanic to fear to keep you safe, is going to be put on that long-ass cooldown if I have to jump out and put down a ward. And if there's someone in the bush or in the triangle that I'm trying to ward, I'm dead. I have no escape mechanism. I'm toast. What other shaper would you expect? Would you ask, the Ferris to flash back over there and waste his cooldown, especially knowing that he can't jump back afterwards? No, of course not. So if you're having a backpack turret Mina, just drive over there, let her put down a ward. You'll be safer in lane. Just a little consideration. And thoughtfulness will keep you guys going strong. Now, let's talk about mid-game. At that point in time, I watched some carries jump into the jungle, try to get a little extra farm on. Don't. I get no benefit, while in you, from you killing the jungle mobs. And if I stay, which I should because I don't want to waste the key to my heart cooldown, or jump out and be attacked by everybody, I'm going to take damage from the mobs. Oh, you have a ton of healing because of, some consumption item or something? I don't. I'm not going to get any benefits. I'm going to be low in team fights. And guess what? I'm going to be in trouble. Now, don't take what I'm saying to say, never go into the jungle if there's a Mina on top of you. Sure, go kill a single mob while I'm riding. That's fine. What I'm saying is, I've watched people while I'm in them go on a friggin' 10-hour trek up the alpine slopes of the jungle, going from mobs to money pig, and I'm like, dude, literally, I'm bleeding every second I'm out here. That's really what I'm talking about. Plus, to be fair, way too much grass, mud, and trees for Mina to truly enjoy the jungle. So let's talk about the team fights and severed ties. If a Mina drops severed ties, you go ham. You go all in. You throw the kitchen sink at everybody. I have seen so many starts of an engagement. The entire enemy team groups together. I drop severed ties, and we run. And I'm going, what just happened here? We're doing a huge amount of extra damage. It drops, you go into the enemy team, and you destroy them, because that's a huge increase in damage. And I've even seen it where, I'm on somebody. Two guys roll up. He's in there tight, drops severed ties, and he runs. And I'm going, we had the fight down. Once those severed ties drop, you're going to wreck them for all the damage. Remember that. Remember how much extra damage Mina gives you, and go ham when the severed ties go in. This little kind of hint is more for my own sanity than anything else. When I play Mina, I play the turret, which means I have a ton of free time on my hands to kind of watch the minimap, see how people are moving. When I ping, it's probably for a damn good reason. I had in one game somebody sitting at the turret trying to do damage to the turret, and I'm riding around on bottom lane, and I see everyone rotating up, so I ping like 17 times. They die against the turret, having not escaped. They then yelled at me that I broke the concentration because I'm peeing too much. I'm like, dude, look. I have time. I have freedom. If Mina says there's danger, run! Run, little man! So my fellow cavalry to the maniac mannequin, that's kind of the quick rundown and guide of how to play with the Mina. Follow these helpful tips in this guide, and Mina will bless... No, she won't. She won't even recognize you. She'll forget you about 5 seconds after the map. But you will turn into a lane-dominating monster that just rips through people. As always, please like, subscribe, and if you have any other ideas of how to play a Mina or would like to comment on this video, please do so below. I'm Mattlin from Bad to Worse Gaming, signing out.